All right, recently I've been using a program called OpenTubes. Um, I know it's been out for about a year, but I want to do several projects, and every time I try to do one, I just got stuck on, you know, mind goes blank type thing. But there is one thing that I am going to do that I have actually been rewriting, as it were. I'll take you back into the mid 90s. I was in college at the time. I started off with a program called Director. That one was a really good animation program. A lot of you nowadays would not like that version because, well, I you had to use a third party program, which I actually liked. I used was Photoshop. I drew each still, and then I did was imported each one as a JPEG file and put it into Director. You know, I wanted the best resolution, clean it up. Each character, if its poses and as it moves, it was like a separate cell of animation. I did it on purpose that way, and I labeled it the way I wanted it. By name and number. I had was my own thing for what it was. So that's what I did. So uh, here's the thing: the project that I want to do is my idea for Taco Manga to actually be turned into an anime. All right, now go back to the 90s. All right, back then, Taco Manga did not exist as an actual manga. What it existed was a bunch of short stories since the 80s. I've been writing it since the 80s and all the way up, and it was like in the beginning, like in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. It was a bunch of short stories on my life in Japan. My like, what would be my life like? Would be like, what would happen to me? What would I do, or some shit like that? Not if I was Japanese, just what would I do if I was there, or if I was living there, or something. It was kind of like that. There wasn't really much, right? That's how it started. And then it turned into an actual comic strips that became an actual comprise of manga. I did put them up, off and on some of the characters and bits and pieces of it, in the 90s as like just some random comics I had of other stuff as well. I had a site a long, long time ago. It ceased to exist, but yeah, it was up there in the 90s and early 2000s. I was doing this. It also was trying to comprise in the early 2000s and make an actual manga and a story, but I could never find a publisher. I went to Tokyo Pop. They had was an open house. This was a while ago. I haven't checked to see if they still do this, but at that time, I didn't. I just found out just like the day prior, more or less. I really didn't have that much info on it. It's like, oh shit, this is happening. I'm close to it. I went down, and and I gathered what I did have. I didn't really have much because most of my stuff was still in another state, and so it was locked up in storage, and I couldn't find it. And I've lost quite a bit too. So what I did had, I was showing them, and they told me that my stuff was too Japanese, which I thought was kind of funny because they take Japanese comics and then just mirrored image and translate it. And sometimes were while they were going into just instead of flipping the image, just leaving it the way it is, just translating it. So yeah, and I did find was Japanese tourists over here, and I asked them, and they told me, "Don't worry, it would work in Japan. That a lot of my stuff would definitely fit in." And I thought that was cool. So, you know, I can, just have it sent there. Um, So, uh, around okay, fast forward again. Now it's I forgot what year it was. It was in the 2000s. The Donnas had was a new album. The new album was called Gold Medal. All right. One of the tracks was called "It's So Hard." Once I heard that for the first time, uh, I had was the intro to a taco manga in my head. My idea of it being an actual anime was there. You know, to this day, if I listen to it, I still have that intro in my head. Back then, I did was wrote down and also draw out the whole entire storyboard of. I did it really quick of how I want it was the intro, based off of the time signatures of the parts of the song, and I've written down the lyrics more or less. I just so I can see how it matches up from shot to shot. And I wanted to get the program that I want, which was Director. And I knew that the Windows version sucked. And by this time, Director did not exist, but it changed to another thing, and then it ceased to exist altogether. So it was hard to find the Windows version because anytime I did find it, it was a bad copy or there was something wrong with the. And this was like for the free, ripped ones. I wanted to actually get the program, and no one had it for sale. Not even for Mac. I did got emulators for Mac emulations, but unfortunately, it's like for the really old Macintosh, not the one from the '90s, or Mac 10, OS 10, So I can't afford was a Macintosh, and I couldn't find was the director for Mac. So it was like, oh well, what? No, I can't do it. So I tried looking for like free versions or other versions of animation programs. A lot of them looked good until I started using them. I found out it was clunky. It was a clunky system. I had was a lot of them where it demanded that you draw within the program. You cannot import anything, and you can't export any of the images as separate images. Will not do it. It saved it all in one giant file, as it were. And the drawing program itself, inside of this animation program, just did not work. It was horrible. A lot of them were really, really bad. Besides the thing being buggy or crashes, there wasn't really settings of pencil thicknesses. You couldn't zoom in and out correctly. You couldn't take your image and shrink it or stretch it. There was just too many things that were wrong, such as like just trying to shrink it, just for the image, like so it's like big and then it shrinks down to small, going back further. Just like in actual cell animations, they have it up to the camera. When it's closer, it's bigger. Move it back further, and it gets smaller and smaller. Because you notice my hands just look bigger and bigger. Kind of the same thing. That's kind of what I want. But no, it said that if I wanted that effect, I had to do was draw it. Not like one frame here, the next frame of the same image, but just a little bit closer, closer, closer. You know. So yeah, that was horrible. Okay, now flash forward to 2017. Um, the new version of OpenTunes came out. And this is I've heard of it off and on, run into it here and there, and just never really pay attention. And it's like, okay, I'll go, do with animation programs, a lot of them. Seeing what they have, seeing if any of them are good enough to keep or use. I used quite a few, and they just seem not for me anymore. These don't work right. I tried 3D one. It's kind of the same little problem. Uh, so I find was OpenTunes. So the version I have is version 1.1.3. That's the newest version for right now. It's actually quite good, but I've been messing about with it. But before like just diving in, I know it's going to be like overwhelming, and a lot of people it is, especially if you're not just going to sit there for a few hours and just start messing around all day, messing with the program, seeing what things do and stuff, and just play with it. That's what you usually supposed to do when you have enough time, like a couple of days off, whatever, just spend days on it, just to fuck around. So I decided to do was, besides just fucking with it here and there, see what I could do. I also did was look on YouTube for tutorials, and some of it was like kind of useful, but other times it was just complete dribble. But yeah, but this one girl specified that the Mac version was horrible. I'll put the link into her video right down there. So I don't know if it's still like that to this day, or it was just her version at the time for Mac OS was just horrible. A very, very horrible version where you could the quit option was grayed out, so you can't even quit out of the program. You had to force shut off of the program. There's other ways of shutting it off, but usually you don't want to do that. But that's what happened. Okay, yeah. So, right, so I've been using. I'm thinking, okay, I can probably use it. So I'm thinking, hey, let's go with doing this. So recently, I've been listening to the Donna's, just it's so hard over and over, trying to write down the time signatures. That's what I did just recently, and it's hard to do is get everything down again because yeah, I kind of have like kind of the basics. It's not really that much, but this is what I rewritten more or less. I don't even have a lot of the stuff, for let's say the keyframes anymore of hand drawn of what I did years prior. I don't know if I still have it, it's gone, or if it's in storage. I don't know. So all I have to do is try to go through my memory and listen to it, see the images in my head, and try to draw it out of what I see. But it's hard to do that, especially when you're trying to draw a single still image when it's moving in your head. You know? Yeah, I see a full animation. Oh, sorry. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Uh, the first version of it that I'll put out of it is when I actually get it done right, more or less, of of the storyboard. So it'll be like a simple, pencil test, or you showing storyboards and simple animation and stuff, and just adding on to the song, maybe the song, I don't know, but yeah, I'll put the link also to the song too. So yeah, check that out. So all right, that's kind of what's been going on with that. I've been really busy trying to get with the whole thing with Anime Expo. Uh, well, there's been so much shit that's been going on in my life. It's ridiculous. So, and I haven't been sleeping well. I have headaches. Other than that, eh, ah, you know. So, yeah. All right. Till again. See ya.